What's up, guys? Here we go into a little film study on Mayweather versus Judah, and the reason that we're going to be watching this is because of Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez. Now, this is going to be a little bit of an unconventional film study, right? Most of the time, you're going to watch a fight, and you're going to be like, okay, how does it go, this and that, and the reason that we're going to be watching YouTube, or we're going to be watching uh, Mayweather versus Judah here on YouTube is because we just want to be looking at some of the strategies that go in a very high level open stance fight, what they look like, what the potential is, because I don't want to say like anything can happen, right? Not that anything can happen because we know what the guys are good at, right? But we want to see just the potential for stuff. And then we're also going to be looking at random holes because these guys are both fast and snappy and explosive, just like Shakur and Teo. And that means that there's a possibility for random, fast, and snappy things to happen. So we're going to look at some of the strategies that kind of work with these guys and talk about them. Because not that neither one of these guys have fought really like great athletes. Teo has fought. He fought Lomachenko. I don't know if he fought anybody else that I would put on the level of like Stevenson. I mean, Jermaine Ortiz is a pretty damn good athlete, right? He's a pretty good athlete for sure. Not as powerful and as explosive, but he's pretty fast. But anyway, we're gonna be talking control now. A few things right away. I just want to point out when they get into range, no control here, right? But going into the lead hand control as Mayweather starts approaching the line, right? Look at Mayweather trying to come forward. Boom, touch the line. And as he comes forward, Judah gives him a little bit of control, right? Touch the lead hand. And what happens as soon as he touches the lead hand, you have to be prepared for your opponent to make two punches sound like one. So he gives him a very predictable position, right? Touches the lead hand. And then he goes, okay, once I get to that position, I'm going to break out of it and race to the next position. Whoosh. But there's another rule where for defensive responsibility, every time you touch the line, if you don't intend to make an attack on it and you want to be safe, you have to get off the line, right? It's just a rule, okay? It's just my rule. It's what I say, right? Judah gives him the same look actually right before, right? Touch, touch, and then tries to get on the line, and then touch, and then tries to touch, get on the line. Uh-oh, stepping jab, double stepping jab on the toes. And then Mayweather tries to get him touch, and then touch, right? The more you observe these rules, the more often you're going to be safe and be able to not get hit by your opponent trying to control space and then hit you on the next beat, which is most common with like a 1-2, right? More recently, 2-1s have become more popular. The 2-1 and the 2-3 being derivatives of that. And the 2-3 being a move that is pretty effective in the open stance for both fighters. So going to the body there, touching the lead hand, touch, right, touch, and then touch, touch, up, boom, and then trying to get him to go up, or trying to get him to go down so he can go, or trying to get him to go up so that he can go down. Trying to capitalize a little bit on the 50-50 where like, if you go to the head and they think it's the body, you'll get them. If you go to the body and they think it's the head, you'll get them. Now, this is going to be a very common strategy here for Teo. This is one of his moves, control. And he's going to try to pendulum here and land this body shot. For those of you that have seen this fight before, this is the move that Mayweather is going to use in round 4, I think, and Judah's going to catch him with the hook there, right? So I want you guys to think about this move here, right? This is also the move that, what's his name? Sandor Martin drops Teofimo Lopez with. Teofimo Lopez does a very similar move, right? But notice Teofimo Lopez breaks into the 1 really fast and then shoots into the 2, right? Snap, snap. And then here we have Mayweather giving him a little bit of control with the lead hand and then moving into a rear hand, but hiding it, right? Touch and then pendulum, right? Not super snappy or explosive off the lead hand control or off the pendulum, right? Saving all of that for the rear hand. So hiding it a little better right there. So pretty slick move there from Mayweather. Getting in the lead, in the guard, in the high guard, staying calm. Now, just real quick, right? As he approaches the line, high level strategy. He's like, okay, Judah's got to come in through the front door. So here I am. I get to the front foot, put my high guard on, and this is the beat where he's going to decide, okay, when Judah gets to the line, when he gets here, I'm going to either counter him, I'm going to do a defensive move, or I'm going to get off the line, right? So Judah starts coming to the line, gets forward, back, right? Mayweather moves off the line a little bit and then moves back to the line, touch, and then what's the most common? 2 punches sound like one, bop, bop, and he's already trying to leave, right? It's just baiting, trying to get Judah to do something while he's kind of doing nothing. But I want to point out, when he gets to that position, okay, he has his hands up, right? He's not just getting to that position. I mean, he did for a second there, a little bit, tiny bit, but he's not just getting to that position with his hands down. He's making sure that if Judah tries to come straight in, he has his lead hand in the way of it from hitting him in the face, right? It's not going to make it straight through. Judah's going to have to very likely change positions in order to hit him. And a positional change he'll be able to see coming, right? But him just sticking his hand snappy, super fast out there, you're not going to see it coming, right? So, pretty good. And then getting to the line here, same position. And now instead of waiting for Judah to go, he goes first, right? Breaking the little rhythm right there, breaking the little pattern just a little bit. And that's one interesting thing with Mayweather is that he's trying to, in the southpaw, in the open stance, he's, in this fight, he's trying to win, right? He's trying to make a lot of attacks on Judah's line and not give him a lot of opportunities to, I'll say reset here, right? Judah has this big bad habit of pivoting on the front foot. You see how he gets pivoting on the front foot here, and then he parries the jab. Look at that bad move, though, right? And then back foot, and he moves to the front foot, takes the big step around to pivot on the front foot as he gets there, and whacked immediately. I want you guys to take a look at this. This is so important, okay? Because when you fight a high-level guy, right, you're not going to get away with that move at all. Okay, I know everybody thinks it's like a great move, but here it is. He does it in front of Mayweather, boom, and he immediately attacks him because it's an all-time great mistake. It's super common. Lots of channels teach you, oh, do this front foot pivot. This is how you, there's something to it, right? But this isn't, you don't ever do it like this in a fight. If there's rules, if you're going to be pivoting on the front foot, right? And he's breaking so many rules right now. And people who pivot on the front foot aren't aware of what those rules are. They break so many of them immediately. We're also going to be watching Zab Judah versus Miguel Cotto rip. Oh God, what a brutal fight, man! I thought Judah was gonna get that one too. Judah was my favorite fighter. I just picked him for every fight, Hell no, he's just gonna crack that dude and he's gonna go down. I didn't pick him to beat Mayweather though. No, I did not. But he pivots on the front foot here. All-time great mistake, and nearly the first time, right? Front foot pivot. Oh, that's how you moving? That's how you moving? Okay, front foot takes the big step. And Mayweather even gives up lead foot dominance as he's crossing the line, right? Big, huge mistake. And again, Mayweather's so keenly aware that Judah's about to cross his line, he just comes straight in with the hook and whacks him. Great shot. Really great shot. And again, one of the first times that Judah moves around and pivots on the front foot. Right? All-time great mistake. Now, look at what Judah has to do while he's circling here, right? Mayweather's getting close to him, and he's like, oh, shit, I can't pivot on the front foot anymore. Better use my double jab, right? Better be more active with my jab. Now, Judah's doing some cool things here. One of the things he does here, he crosses the line a little bit here. He does it right here. Boom. And he kind of does it, but he doesn't usually throw his rear hand when he does it. He doesn't really have a great rear hand probe. Zab Judah comes from that era of bladed stance guys who are save the rifle, right? And I think Zab Judah just did that a little bit too much in his career, especially after he lost to Kasia Tszyu. He kind of changed his entire style, less flamboyant and flashy, less positions, less pulling, and more standard bladed boxing, right? And the reason that's mostly fine for Judah is because when we think about who the guy at advantage is or at disadvantage, Zab Judah is almost always at advantage. He's a pound for pound strong guy. He's been doing, working out since he was a kid, right? So he's very fit, very strong, uses his body mostly correctly, like guys who have been athletes their whole lives do. And so that means that sitting on the line and going punch for punch with another guy is almost always in his favor, right? Because he's fast and he hits hard. The only thing is he would break down, right? Because he does everything with maximum exertion. And if you're sitting on the line with him just trading weight transitions, if he gets tired or slows down at all, then it's going to be a big problem because he only has so many ways to defend his line because he's not doing all the fancy, goofy shit. He's removed so many of his position one moves, right? Front foot pull counters, baiting on the front foot, rear hand probes. It's like an entire half of boxing that he doesn't have. So he'll get stuck in positions where he's circling bad, pivoting on the front foot, and doing those moves instead of controlling space with feinting and punching and stuff. Like right there, is this the only move that he has on the left side of the line here? Is this feint, right? And like it's an almost a worthless feint against Mayweather there. Couple of good lead hand controls, feints him, lead hand control, and then again touch the lead hand, bop, and then when he touches, boom, immediately moves into a rear hand. Not the best post-punch defense from Mayweather. When Mayweather fights an orthodox fighter, usually he darts off to the left, but oftentimes he's not trying to be, like he doesn't have like a, sometimes he gives up lead foot dominance, sometimes this, but he just kind of is penduluming forward, using a little bit too much momentum, tries to get a left hand control there. We'll see if he pays for it at all. He's pretty quick, and usually if you get your opponent with the shot, they're usually more worried about a follow-up shot that you might get them with than countering off of a shot you hit them with, right? So if Mayweather makes first contact, if he lands, then it won't bother him so much. Now, he's used the double jab a couple of times and gotten some space. No counters from the double jab so far, so Judah finally goes in with the body shot, lands a good one there. Still behind, but, very, very, so far the most common sources of offense, right? Rear hand to the body, right? Left hook to the pivot on the front foot. Shakur Stevenson is a guy that likes to pivot on the front foot. Teo is a guy that has a good left hook. So those are things to be paying attention to. Even if the punch doesn't present itself early, it's one of those moves that we want to look out for because it's one of those holes that people will find when they're just, I don't want to say getting desperate or whatever, right? Now again, common, control, and then rear hand. This is very Shakur Stevenson-like, right? Shakur Stevenson's going to try to be in this range, trying to do that kind of stuff. And if we think about Teo as being the Zab Judah fighter, right, which I would akin them to, Shakur probably, man, is Shakur going to have more control over the line? I think he probably will have more control over the line, similar to like Mayweather, but only because I think Teo will give it away early. Jab, and then Mayweather tries to fake follow him back, and then he jumps on the line with a fake jab here, beautiful trap jab, sees him going to come back, pull, and then comes back with the rear hand counter. Absolutely beautiful work right there from Zab Judah. And again, feints him, and then sees that Mayweather's looking to jump onto his line with the counter, right? And he's like, okay, I got something for you. You're going to jump onto my line? Beautiful, beautiful move. Gets him, boom, boom, boom. Absolutely beautiful. Now again, all this movement from Zab Judah, and then he winds up opening with a jab, a stepping jab, right? Boom, peel, and then feint, and then cross the line, 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 and then stepping jab, right? Again, he doesn't really have the ability to throw a rear hand probe, and we're going to see that this winds up being and having a massive, massive effect over the course of the entire fight, as Zab Judah only really attacks when he's on the inside of the line there, right, on the on the left side of the line. Now, coming forward, controlling the lead hand, right? Trying to get close enough, controlling the lead hand. Now, Notice the position that Judah's in, right? He's on the inside of the line. He has to throw his jab from the inside. Mayweather's controlling it, so it has to come out like a back fist because Judah is on the back foot here. So there's no like line that he can make between his hand and Mayweather's face that's unobstructed, right? That means that he's going to have to throw the rear hand as long as Mayweather has control of the lead hand, right? He's going to see the rear hand coming. But it's also going to allow him to keep inching forward and getting a little bit closer, right? And because Judah here it was expecting the lead hand to be controlled, he allowed Mayweather to change positions in front of him and get close enough to change positions and hit him with the rear hand without really telegraphing it, without really exploding into it, right? It's very, very seamless, very fluid. He kind of sneaks into the shot really, really, really well. Fucking douchebags. And then again, another very, very terrible move here from Judah, pivoting on the front foot. I guess this is, pivoting on the front foot, but in front of him like this. Again, another fake move, doesn't create a positional advantage. Great shot. Mayweather tries the same move where he picks the jab off and comes over the top. Boom. And Judah catches him. Not the greatest move. They both wind up going on kind of on the same beat. But you can kind of see, right, off of the lead hand control touch where they both kind of explode, bop. And it becomes a race right there on that second beat. They're both very similarly fast. But again, a very common strategy from both fighters. And this is one of those cases where, like, if you both go and one of you doesn't move your head, right, or whatever, one of you will get hit. In this case, they're both kind of actually getting hit because neither one of them are moving their head. They're both trying to explode and use their most amount of athleticism and do the easiest move, right? It's much, much easier to do all these moves and not move your head. It's infinitely easier. Common strategies. Boom. Jumps on the line with the pendulum. Now, very interesting. Takes him 3 beats here, right? He's going to go boom, pendulum, right? Jab, pendulum, 2. Not as explosive as the one that Teo does, where it's a really quick Mikey Garcia-like 3-2, bop, bop. But, you know, there's some of it is a little bit safer because of the rhythm in which he's doing it. He's not, like, exploding on Judah. So it's a kind of a different move. Front foot, back foot. Moving to the back foot, chasing him. Tries that same like little pivot rolling thing. Again, those moves are fake. They don't really allow you to get it off the line. Oh. Right back into the next round. Cool. Oops. So this time, boom, controlling the lead hand, a little bit of an adjustment from Mayweather, waiting for the double jab, and then trying to follow him back after that, instead of just chasing him on the single jab. So already an adjustment from Mayweather, allowing Judah to throw multiple double jabs, and then instead of getting caught by the second one, trying to start following it back, and then maybe isolating Judah from his other one, right? Not necessarily going to be expecting that to be a very common strategy. Again, 2 punches sound like one timing off of the control here. Just touch, 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 right? He may telegraph this one a little bit. Touch, touch, and he's taking a step here at the same time. So he may be telling on himself a tiny bit there for Judah, but that'll be a shot that he definitely closes the distance on later. Ooh, now good job there from Mayweather. gets on the line, Philly shell, little position. He's down. Look at him trying to be coiled here, right? And then he sees the first shot coming and then immediately races out of it there. And then, this time throws a better shot than Judah, a little bit faster. He's a little bit more prepared to explode. And Judah has to come into range of Mayweather, right? Boom. And is not able to make his second step. He gets timed and intercepted perfectly here. Now, this is the kind of move right here that I almost do not expect at all to happen in the fight with Shakur and Teo. There may be some times where a move similar like this happens. Shakur does not throw hooks like this. They're not, number one, they're not like usually that round. They're kind of like oblong, right? They're not like cornered short hooks, They'll be like it might be like a wide stepping hook that's like really lumbering kind of. It's fast still, but it's not like really round, and it's not like the angle of it doesn't look like he can throw it around a punch. But also that doesn't matter literally at all, because Shakur Stevenson does not counter people like this. He does not counterpunch with them when they go, right? Where he's breaking in between the sequence. Otherwise, he could have done that to De Los Santos, right? This is just not a skill that Shakur has. This is not a skill that like a guy like Devin Haney has, right? Where they're able to like, oh, I know he's coming forward, so I'm just going to counter them when they're coming forward. Like Devin Haney always just waits and goes under, right? He's like, oh yeah, I know he's coming, so I'm just going to get under. But like, if you know he's coming, why don't you just do this instead? If it's predictable what the guy's doing, why can't you do a move that's better than what you're doing? Because you're not a good fighter, right? And here he is intercepting him on the line in the middle of his sequence. Very high level stuff. Very, 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 very hard to do against another fast fighter, right? And that's like one of those like interesting distinctions, right? When it's all on the line and two guys are fast and two guys are, which one of the guys is going to go for it? Is Teo going to go for it? Remember when Lomachenko didn't go for it against Teo? He threw the fight. He threw it. He didn't even try. He allowed himself to get controlled and outboxed by Teo, right? He allowed Teo to steal shots early and then, survive late. I think he got hurt. I think Teo did get hurt by Loma. So that was like definitely a winnable fight for Loma. But it's not easy to score against Teo. But the point that I want to make here is this skill here is more likely to happen for Teo than it is for Shakur, I think. But I don't think it'll be one that happens early in the fight. Even though Teo has shown that he can fight on the line and punch with guys like Comey, I don't know if he's going to be... I don't think he's going to be doing it like that early in the fight, But Teo is one of those guys that has been sparring... I don't know if he ever sparred with Ryan Garcia. I'm not sure, but like there's videos of him sparring Tank. There's videos of him, like, he sparred Shakur. Like, he's a guy, right? And, like, there's videos of him actually sparring and doing well against Tank, doing good, beating Tank in the sparring. And Tank's just waiting to try to hit him with the hard shot. That's the only game that he's playing, right? He's like, I don't care, whatever. As long as I don't get knocked out, I know I can knock them out. So he's like, whatever. But he actually is trying to hit the guy hard, But this skill, I think this skill is going to be much more likely to be belonging to Shakur, or to Teo than Shakur. Even though I do think Teo is going to be the guy that has to come forward, right? Now, again, Zab Judah doesn't really have a way to throw a rear hand probe, right? He's trying to fight all the way on the inside of the line. So coming forward, his head is always in the same space. He's not crossing the line, getting his head any closer, so he can throw a jab and cross the line. So when he comes forward, it's easy to time him, boom, because he comes straight in and he has to double step, right? And now he is getting stuffed here, getting controlled. And like a lot of his offense right now is getting stifled, And again, I wonder if that's something that's going to be more present for beautiful shot right there again. And again, Judah hands down, right? He's on the line. When Mayweather was on the line and he's close to Judah, he keeps his hands up, right? Judah keeping his hands down, right? Boop, coming forward, boom, right? Mayweather's figured out how fast he is. He knows he can beat him. He knows when to start racing because Zab Judah has to get on the line with a 1-1-2, right? So far, Zab Judah hasn't thrown any quick 1-2s, only 1-1-2s. So if he's throwing, it was in the second round. So if he's only throwing 1-2 or 1-1-2s, you just time him on the second one, or the first. Now, Mayweather landed a rear hand to the body earlier, just like a few moments ago, I think, too. Was it right here? No, that was the jab again. Anyway, he landed one a few moments ago, and he goes here to throw one, and again, gets bapped, right? Hit on the head here. Now, this is the same move that Teo gets caught with, and I think he gets caught with it quite a few times. Everyone is, like, expecting it. It's just a common move in the open stance, right? Teo's just the only one that's been caught doing it, right? But this is also a move that Shakur might get caught with because Teo has a really good left hook himself, right? I think his left hook is his best shot, and I think that even though his left hook might not be the one that wins him the fight necessarily, I think it's going to control a lot of space, and it's going to be very dangerous because this kind of shot coming from Shakur, again, this has so far been one of the most common sources of offense for Mayweather, right? Only like 4 minutes in, but again, it's not that hard to counter. It's only in the second round because it's a common move, right? At a high level, it doesn't take that many times to see it before you start countering it because it's common. It's the only punch that's open all the time, right? So he's taking his 50-50, right? He's like, okay, I'm just not expecting to be able to land a headshot. Maybe I'm not going to be in range. He's moving back. And then Judah's like, okay, well, I can't get away from the body shot. I'm too far away for a headshot. And he just whips into the hook himself, right? But I feel like this could be a really common move. However, I think that if Teo is the one coming forward, it might be harder for him to land this shot than if he's going backwards. And I don't think that Teo is going to be the one going backwards. I think he's going to probably make the same mistake that Brian Norman Jr. made when he fought Devin Haney, coming straight in instead of continuing the circle and step around. That's kind of what I'm thinking Teo's going to do. Because it's really when a guy sits on the line with you, it's really, well, if you say it like just bluntly, it's the whole reason why people get into boxing. They want to challenge. You want to challenge on the line. What? You think you're better than me? You're going to get on the line with me? Yeah, let me see if I can do my trick to you, bruh. Come on, stand there. So, like, when somebody invites you onto their line like that and they get in that position and you think you can do your trick and hit them, you just don't know how many times they've seen people try to do the trick to them and what tricks they've seen and what trick that guy's prepared for, right? Common moves, not common moves, right? And sometimes a guy can surprise you, right? But yeah, I don't think that Teo is gonna get to. I mean, you can just go backwards if you want, real quick. What happens? What's the first thing that happens if you do a good move to somebody and they can do that move too? They're like, okay, I got that easy shit too. You want to play with that easy shit? Pop, pop. Man, I thought we were doing some hard boxing. I thought we were gonna. But Mayweather, he's not, nah. I'm in it for the points. I need the points. Let me get them threes, bro. Let me get them threes. That was a good 1-2 from Judah, by the way. Remember, I accused him of not having a good 1-2, and he went 1-2 to the body. I don't think he does one to the head, though. I don't think so. But even if he's going to do it right now, Judah comes in, jumping in, boom, and Mayweather's immediately, even if it's a 1-2, bah, trying to time him and counter him on that next beat. Judah doesn't really move his head, right? But again, it is mostly, 1-1s, right? He doesn't actually throw a lot of 2s. And again, at some point when your opponent throws a punch at you, you're going to go, right? And Mayweather, boom, boom, throwing a combination at him off of his own punch. Common. Should be common, right? How many times does Shakur Stevenson do something like that? Right? How often? Now, I think the place that Teofimo Lopez has the most advantage is when he's doing what Juday's doing here, circling and moving around. Pull, right? See the easy shot coming. Doesn't get the good counter there. But if he can drag Shakur around, because Shakur wants to be in his base, he wants to be planted, right? Like this position that Juday's in right now, or Mayweather, right? He's like, okay, I'm gonna bait him. I want him to throw a shot at me, and I want to try to counter whatever it is. Okay, this is exactly what Shakur's doing when he gets into a position. He's trying to get, I'm gonna get close to you. I'm gonna just be here, and I'm gonna be real calm. And then if you don't go, I'm gonna go, right? And then like if you do go, I'm gonna try to counter you. Have a little move, right? But if you just step around the guy, he doesn't get to use this, and you get to make him make a move and take a step. Right? And in order to take a step properly, you have to change positions. You have to know how to align your tools with the line, right? Or you can't get on it, because then your opponent will have a direct line to your face, right? Notice Mayweather falling a little bit off balance there, right? Judah circling, right? Not approaching his line. He's like, nah, trying to get to the outside of his foot. Boom. Boom, Mayweather throws the shot. Notice he falls a little bit off balance. This is like exactly what you want to happen. You want your opponent, as you circle and step around them, you want them to fall off balance, trying to challenge you. When you challenge them, and you want to challenge them off the line, right? Circling, right? Moving around him, taking a step with the lead foot, going outside, and forcing Mayweather to take lead foot dominance and step around him. Beautiful work right there, right? Look at Mayweather's trying to challenge him on the line. This is absolutely beautiful boxing right now. Feints him, gets off the line, throws a one, expects the counter to come at 2 punches sound like one, so he throws the one, gets off the line, keeps circling, right? Tries to get his counter, right? Takes a step outside of Mayweather's foot, moves his back foot, takes a step outside Mayweather's foot, gives him a little bit of control, but look at how he throws that shot from so far away to get Mayweather to take a step in. Right? Baiting that same shot that Mayweather's been countering him on, right? But now he's so far away because he's circling, and he made Mayweather have to get lead foot dominance on him and walked him right into his shot. Now, it's unfortunate that he gave up lead foot dominance and he didn't keep punching, right? Because if he could throw another punch right here, he might be able to get away, but, that didn't wind up finishing like a great position for him. But he caught him, and usually when you catch a guy, it disrupts the sequence enough to not let them hit you again, right? Or keep the sequence going. So even if you're vulnerable and you get them, right, they usually don't notice that you're vulnerable because you punched them in the face. Who's in a bad position after scoring, right? Jumps on the line here, 1-1, right? Feint. Look at Mayweather's guard, right? If that was a 2-3 right there, bad guard, right? If that was a rear hand that went around the guard as just a right hook, bad guard, right? Now, Judah, taking a step on the front foot, and then Mayweather countering. Oh no, it was still on the second beat. I missed the first feint from Judah. I thought he timed him on the first one. I was like, okay, already impressive. Now, real quick, you guys, we see that Mayweather is trying to time and counter Judah's jab, right? So look at Judah throwing a jab that he didn't have to step with, right? Didn't have to step with the first jab, right? Stepped with the second one, right? But it's very important that you have a jab that you can probe the line with, that you don't have to step with, right? Look at how subtle that is, right? And then touching the line here. Touch, touch, right? 2 touches, 1 step. And then a jab and a peel. Oh. Now, Mayweather doing a great job here, right? What's he doing, guys? What's he doing? He's baiting a shot, right? We saw when Mayweather was nervous about the line, he kept his hand up, but now he doesn't have his hand up, so we know he's baiting a shot, right? Pull, takes a step in, gets lead foot dominance, comes up with the rear hand. Beautiful work. Beautiful. Right? Sees that he's playing on the lead hand. Okay, right? Come. Great adjustment. Counters him on the next beat, right? So far, following the jab back with both hands, right? Following it back with his left hand, following it back here with his right hand, countering him after that beat. And again, if Judah can only cross or only enter the line on the right side, right? Getting pinned down here. He's getting pinned down because he can't cross. He can't control the line before he crosses it with his lead hand right now because he's getting pinned down. So he has to find some space for it before he can throw the rear hand. But all the traps are there for Mayweather, right? He could do all those same common moves. Ooh, a little bit of longer sequence there, right? Boom, pull, right? Uppercut. Mayweather trying to follow up. I don't usually like the rolling move, right? But a little bit dynamics here. Boom, rolls to the front foot. Counter comes to the front foot. Rolls out of the front foot while the counter's coming. Now real quick, gets on the line, controlling the line with his lead hand, right? It's in a guard position, controlling the lead hand, right? And then what does Mayweather do? Breaks into a rear hand. Has a way to throw his non-lead hand, right? Zab Judah continues to get stuck on the back foot and getting his lead hand pinned down, right? Now, this is going to be an interesting dynamic because I think that Shakur is going to be a little bit more aggressive with the lead hand stuff. And I think that Shakur is going to have a little bit more control over the line on average. Again, not because Teo is worse, but because Teo is more dynamic, he's going to look to utilize control of the line less. And he's going to look to utilize giving up control of the line to score more, right? Using head movement. And that leads me to believe that he may have more rear hand probe opportunities than Shakur, because Shakur doesn't really change positions, right? He just gets onto the front foot and like rocks back and forth a little bit. You know, he's not really moving his head. He's not really dynamic like that. But we can see that not having that rear hand is having a massive impact on Zab Judah, right? And then this, just simply because Mayweather could bust out into a rear hand right there, it allowed him to be able to throw punches in a position where Judah's like, okay, I'm controlling him, I'm waiting for that jab, and that was not what he was expecting here. Now, remember when we talked about Mayweather penduluming forward and usually darting, and he didn't really do that here. He's kind of just falling forward, and we'll see if he pays for it. All-time great mistake of penduluming forward and falling forward. If you don't grab and hold, you're going to pay for it. And here he pays for it with a couple of shots, right? Some really, really hard shots. Zab Judah gets completely planted for these shots. Boom. They both get down. Boom. He's coming up with a punch. Oh, you're not ready to fight yet? Boom. Oh, you're not ready to fight yet? Boom. And ripping shots. Ripping really, really good single shots, not falling off balance. You know, great shots. And, like, he's taking advantage right there of the beats then at which his opponent falls off balance, right? Beautiful work here, by the way, real quick. By the way, all-time great skill. How many times when De Los Santos fell off balance did Shakur make him pay for with shots like that? We can see it's clearly possible, right? Right? When we're judging these guys based on skills, right? Now, Zab Judah circling, right? Front foot, control, sees him coming as he's moving to the back foot, pull, get under. Now, if he came up with the shot here after, instead of going all the way down and coming up with nothing, he could have landed a great shot right there, right? But this is a very common move, and for whatever reason, Zab Judah is just not executing it here, right? But he was in perfect position to pull and come back with the shot. He was even in position to just go 1-2 and 1-2 him, right? But it's a very common move, right? Here he is executing his little move here. A good job again. Fake the stepping jab, right? Bop, gets off the line, bap, and then comes back with the rear hand. It does look like he still got tagged, but... Whoops, I forgot. real quick. If you don't have your guard up, right, and your opponent approaches the line, you have to abandon it or you're going to get hit, right? Now, this is going to be really interesting because Shakur doesn't always have his guard up, but he is the guy that's usually coming to the line trying to get lead foot dominance. Not lead foot dominance, lead hand control, right? Make control and touch the lead hand, which is, not the same as having your guard up. But as we saw when Mayweather was controlling his lead hand, Judah couldn't cross the line, right? So again, I think that dynamic will be more present, and again, that's going to make Teo be the one having to move around and follow Shakur, because Shakur will be doing all this same stuff that Mayweather's doing, but going backwards, right? Beautiful shot from Mayweather, and you can see him even waiting, right? Front foot, right? And he gets to the front foot here, and he's baiting a shot. He's like, okay, I'm gonna get on his line. Okay, nothing came that time. Okay, nothing came that time. Okay, I guess I'll go. Breaks into it. Boom. Almost gets countered with a great shot right there, and then Mayweather's like, get him again, right? Throwing the shot, trying to get his head to the outside, and again, Zab Judah there, he doesn't have his hands up. He's on the line waiting, right? And the punch that he thinks is coming, right? That was not that bad, but his head gets to the outside, doesn't get him, right? But the punch that he thinks is going to come, is it going to be a jab? What is he expecting? It's not coming, right? And there's a direct line directly to his head that Mayweather's just able to connect, and he just can't do anything about it, right? Again, all-time great mistake, right? And again, it's only the third round, right? Tries to leave here, pivot on the front foot, pendulum, boom, gets caught. Now let me ask you guys a question. Even if Teofimo's not that good, right? Nobody's he's no Mayweather. How many times do you got to get caught with a shot like this, boom, from Teofimo Lopez? Right? And again, even though these guys are not as schooled and how do you want to say it? Crafty, they don't do as many moves, these guys are very explosive. They're very fit, they're very fast. Teo hits pretty hard, more importantly, it's the shot that you don't see coming that hurts you, right? And if Shakur is going to be doing moves like that, pivoting on the front foot and all that stuff, Shakur also does other stuff where he'll just be shoving and pushing, and that could also cause him to get hit with a left hook, right? But this move here, if you're pivoting on the front foot, the left hook is extremely, extremely dangerous. And again, Teo has a good one. And now again, while I don't expect it to happen a lot in the beginning of the fight, I do expect when he gets him out of position late in the fight, if he's going for it, for the left hook to be huge, huge problem for Shakur. Now, Mayweather trying to allow and bait some shots from Judah. Real quick, you guys. It's important that we have jabs that we don't have to step with, right? Didn't step with that jab. Imagine if he did, right? He was just able to throw that from his planted position and then get off. Touch, peel, right? Touch, peel, right? Oh, man. Now, again, what's the difference in this round so far and in the fight, right? So far, Mayweather has just a couple more rear hand probes that he can throw that Mayweather can't. Now, look at how important it is that Mayweather have that rear hand probe, because if he had to open up on the line with the jab every time, boom, boom, he's getting countered, right? Most good fighters, especially fast and snappy fighters, have a way to counter the jab, because most fighters have to use the jab to control space. Mayweather's doing an excellent job of controlling Zab Judah's jab, but he doesn't have to rely on his jab to get offense because he can use his rear hand, right? Now, I don't know who I'm expecting to have the better rear hand, honestly. I feel like Shakur might bap his out there more often, which that would mean he would have more control, and I'm expecting him to have more control over the line. But if Teo's the guy that has to utilize his other skills and move his head and this, because Shakur is going to be playing that game of being stuck on the line more often, That means that Teo's going to be changing positions more often and crossing the line more often, so he'll be in an actually better position to land his rear hand more often, which means that he should, in theory, throw it more often, which in theory should make him have the advantage. Rear hand, catch him with the hook. Almost. Man, did he almost get hit with a pivot on the front foot again? Ooh. Now again, Judah crossing the line a whole bunch of times. Look at how many times he cycles through this guard. Boom, 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 boom. Right? Danger, right? And he doesn't throw a rear hand when he gets to the front foot. He doesn't throw a hook when he gets back to the back foot. He's not throwing a jab there either. Just so many sequences right there. Uh-oh. And then what does he do? He makes an all-time great mistake. Boom, boom. Takes a step off the line. Takes his feet together, and Mayweather chases him before he can finish his pendulum step, and as he's about to bring that front foot down, right? Now, he didn't bring his front foot down in close to Mayweather, right? Because his next step was going to be a left foot, right? But he bounced there in his little rhythm step thing, right? Boom, boom, back foot, and then now his front foot is supposed to go out right now, but it bounces on the ground. He didn't retake a step, but Mayweather is actually timing him on the front foot here, right? He's expecting him to move off the line, like either do a goofy L step or whatever, but it's on that beat at which the foot is supposed to get to the ground that he's hitting him, right? And this is going to also the move or the timing at which he's expecting a front foot pivot, right? And he completely stuffs him. Now again, all-time great mistakes, right? Mayweather, he sees the mistake and he just immediately like, oh, okay, now's the time to attack him. He's just not in position to hit me. Judah, again, trapped on his side of the line, you know? Now, again, the being trapped on his side of the line thing, I feel like that part is going to also be Shakur, a Shakur problem, where he'll be trapped in his position more, you know, just because he's just less dynamic in that regard. So, like, Teo may cross the line and do stuff, but Shakur's going to be the one giving up a lot of ground, moving, trying to, I don't want to say, like, you know, trying to avoid the fight, but trying not to allow Teo to take advantage of any of his positions, right? But how often is he going to be able to score? You know, I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know. Again, I'm really expecting how dynamic Teo is to be a big problem for Shakur. Oh, did he get him right on the right beat that time? Boom. No, it's still on the next beat. Boom. And again, taking advantage of the jab, getting to the front foot, pendulum right there, start bringing his way to the line. Judah crosses the line, and he takes the opportunity to throw that punch as Judah's leaving and trying to take a step, right? They get on the line, and again, Judah's like, okay, back foot, back foot, gets to the front foot. Mayweather throws a punch, pull, counter, right? Beautiful boxing, right? But again, one of the biggest differences is just that Mayweather can throw rear hands, right? Mayweather has an extra way to control the line. So I guess I'm thinking that Teo is going to have more success with his rear hand, but I think Shakur will throw his and control space more and keep Teo off balance, which may also have a significant impact. Again, great rear hand probe from Mayweather. Oh, and now look at the success that Judah has with his own rear hand probe. Crossing the line, touch, down, cross, boom, right? Hides the fact that he's going to do his rear hand probe. And now real quick, you guys, 2-foot punching, right? Just like I show in the video where I demonstrate, I go pendulum, 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 and I show that the movement is, you can do a very similar movement, boom, 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 and hide the fact that you're going to throw a shot out of it, right? Rear hand probe to the body, touch, touch, and then he follows him back again. After you touch the line, you got to get off the line, right? Or do a defensive move, or, you know, and Mayweather trying to take the free point there. And again, how crazy, right? Right? All-time great mistake, only being able to throw lead hands, right? Mayweather scoring with the rear hand, right? Staying close. When they both wind up getting close and you're both next to your opponent, what's the rule? Well, you got to make an attack, make a defensive move, or get off the line. Mayweather's coiled. He comes up. Judah's not making a defensive move. He's not getting off the line. He's not making an attack. He's just getting punched in the head right there. Then he pivots on the front foot and almost gets hit in the head again. Right? Bad boxing right there from Judah. Right? Oh, man. And he gets some bad boxing there from Judah. Controls him on the front foot here. And then had a really, really good timing. Right? Now, remember earlier when I said Mayweather's defense was bad? He tried to parry the rear hand. He didn't move his head in that last one. He could have got hit by a hook around the guard. There's just so many things that were bad about the thing. But Mayweather's head is in the same position, right? He doesn't really move his head when he does his defensive thing right there. So when Judah's going here, right now, the place in which he's on the line with Mayweather, because if you look where his feet are, his head is in this position and the shoulder is in this position. But Judah's going to be moving to the right as he takes lead foot dominance, right? And now he's like, you know, a couple inches more to the right. So that rear hand is no longer lined up anymore with his shoulder. So he's able to just pitch it right through, right? Because he got such lead foot dominance. He was able to change the angle at which, when he threw that shot, his head got off the line for his most mechanically correct shot. And he was able to line it up right through the guard on Mayweather. And again, that's just because Mayweather doesn't really move his head on defense like that. He doesn't know where to put his head, how to correctly block a particular punch, or, you know, and I don't even want to say block a particular punch or whatever. It's just like min-maxing your blocking strategy, right? And it's just like he's not doing that stuff, right? That's all. There's better blocks. There's a better way. If you see the shot coming, there's a better move to make than the one that he made, right? Now, the other caveat is he gets Mayweather to chase him right here, right? Mayweather goes front foot, pendulum, back foot, and as he's taking the step onto the front foot, boom, he gets controlled on the first beat, and then he doesn't get away on the second beat, right? And Mayweather, Judah takes a lead foot dominance on the second beat, and then Mayweather didn't, he did a defensive move, right? Instead of punching and moving his head and whatever. But again, I'm just going to say one more time real quick, just like, you know, for the last time. Sometimes it's important to have a jab that you don't have to step with, right? So Mayweather's getting on the line, right? And Judah throws a jab that doesn't have a step and then throws a stepping jab after, boom, boom, and then he's close enough to land the rear hand. But again, you can't step with every punch, right? Now, Judah's going for it, right? He's really trying to whack him. He's not doing the Golovkin thing here, right? Where you have probes, where you take your time and you still keep setting up a good shot, right? And it's really important, right? It's really important when you think about how much effort you spent trying to set up that first hard shot, and then you think all of a sudden it's just going to be easy to land a hard shot. I mean, the guy might be like a little bit slower, but if you hit him, he's also probably not trying to hit you anymore. So he's 100% focused on defense. And now that he's 100% focused on defense, when he was doing offense and defense, you think he's going to be easier to hit now? Crazy, man. Crazy logic, guys. Absolutely wild. Oh, yeah, you crack the guy. Now you make him dial in on his defense. He's like, oh, got to work on this shit. And you think he's going to be easier to hit now. Now, real quick, I made a comment on YouTube about what's the style that would beat Mayweather. A fast, snappy, sharp guy who sits on the line and is hard to fight, you know? Are you going to be faster than him? Are you going to just predict every sequence better than him? Are you going to do that? And I was saying, you're probably just going to be the guy who gets on the line and throws more punches, who just is fast and is like, okay, on average, I'll just be okay. I just got to be fast. And that's what Mayweather's doing right here. He's getting to the line and he's just trying to make more attacks on the line than Judah. Just find a way to land more punches. It's not about having the best shot. It's not about You just have to be throwing more punches because, number one, if your opponent's dodging your punches, he's usually not punching you too. If you're in incredibly great shape and super fit and strong, you should be able to use some of the punches that you throw as defense against your opponent, because you're going to have extra punches at the end of the fight. You're going to be like, man, I'm in too good a shape. I didn't throw enough punches. So just throwing punches that control your opponent that could score, they don't have to score, gives you a significant advantage in these types of fights, right? Now, if we continue to extrapolate that idea based on the fact that, again, Mayweather has more probes than Judah. Judah has one probe, right? The lead hand from the inside of the line. And then Mayweather has two probes, right? He's got his jab probe, which he's not using that much actually, but the rear hand probe, right? And the rear hand probe is much more difficult here for Judah to work with, right? And that also may be why Mayweather's not using as many jabs, right? Man. And again, getting on the line, Judah can't jab him to the face because he has his lead hand up, disrupting it. Judah's hand is also down here, so it's very, very difficult for him to connect the line to his face, right? And he just allows Mayweather to get here, right? Now Mayweather's head is on the left side of the line. Judah's normal pull, uppercut, roll, not as good against the rear hand because the head gets outside the lead foot. When you throw it, you cross the line. You have lead foot dominance. Your head gets outside of that lead foot. And now you're throwing an uppercut to the outside of your own lead foot. Nah, right? So mechanically, he's shutting it off. Throws the hook. Tries to pendulum and pivot on the front foot. Throws the hook again. Right? Against a high-level guy, the move is just open. If you just do that against a guy, it's easy to hit him. It's easy. Mayweather's showing it over and over and over again. You just got to be willing to throw the punch, take the risk. Again, real quick, picking that move off from Mayweather again. Really, really nice from Judah. Again, he's much better at countering the jab than he is at countering the rear hand, right? Mayweather baiting. He's much better at countering the lead hand than he is the rear hand. So Mayweather pulling and going with a rear hand counter instead of the lead hand counter. Right? Now notice also, Judah's counter was the same, even though the punch was different. Right? He wasn't prepared for that. He didn't predict it correctly, so he didn't land the shot. Common source of offense, again, Mayweather, just taking the 50-50, right? Sometimes he throws it to the head, sometimes he throws it to the body, right? He's just throwing more punches than Zab Judah, right? Is it going to land? Who knows? But if you have a 50-50 shot and you take a 50-50 versus not taking any shots, right? What is it that Wayne Gretzky said? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? And Mayweather here, he's just taking shots. He's just like, okay, well, someone's going to win the round. Whether I'm better than you or you're better than me, somebody's going to win. So how do I win? I land more punches. So he's just taking more 50-50s than Judah. So again, the guy who is able to throw more rear hands in this fight is also, going to have a significant advantage. I feel like Teo should be able to throw more rear hands, but I'm not sure. Pull, boom, counter. Again, whacks him off the jab again. I think maybe he missed that one. But again, Zab Judah very, very good at fighting off the jab. Lead hand control, right? If everyone's exhibiting lead hand control, right? They're at parity, they're even. How do you break it? The only way to break it is by using your rear hand, right? You can go around the guard with the hook too. I think Shakur actually is better at that one, maybe just bapping with the lead hook than bapping with the rear hand as a control. But again, I don't think that his has the roundedness, to be able to intercept stuff, right? He doesn't throw them. To counter, right? He's usually just hoping he's going to be able to throw when you're doing nothing, Little physical control from Mayweather. Now notice there's no counterpunch here from Judah, right? This is really important. One of the biggest reasons why this is so important, because he's getting wrestled right here. Even though he has a superior position, he gets wrestled and he's not allowed to throw his counterpunch. Again, this is why wrestling is not legal. Now, you're going to get away with a little bit of wrestling if you're really good at it. If you're really good at it, you can make it look like it's not wrestling at all, right? Devin Haney's not good at wrestling, okay? Now, again, stifling Judah's counterpunches, right? Boom, coming forward with the physical controls. This is a strategy that a guy, man, I can't remember his name. McKinson won. He used to do this. He would throw punches at people, pendulum, get his legs around their legs, and then shove them, and then throw punches, and then score knockdowns, like fake knockdowns off of the shove after he would trip them. I was doing film study for a guy named Chris Congo at the time, and we had film study for that. And we had a big strategy for it, but, you know, if you don't actually train in person, like, it's tough, because we fight how we train, right? And, like, getting people to do drills, like, it's not the same. Like, if you do film study for a pro fighter and, like, you can't actually work, they'll watch the thing and be like, hey, that's cool, and then they don't know what to do with that. You can design a drill and they'll do the drill, and if you don't tell them how to do the drill right, if they don't send you video do drilling, right, and you can't teach them, you know. But Mayweather stifling the thing, trying to get really close. If you can get your legs behind your opponent's legs with lead foot dominance and you straighten your legs out, you can judo them and shove them, right? By tangling your legs and then squeezing your legs together, you can judo throw your opponent who's even noticing, right? But Mayweather is dominating the line right now. Again, this move here, Judah is so much better at countering the jab than he is at countering the rear hand, right? Not in any position at all to land it. Even though he's fast, even though, like, all those great things about Judah are true, still struggling there to interact with the rear hand. Now, this is not bad. They both wind up breaking into rear hands. Boom, right? Judah throws one, and now look at the two. He kind of pendulums forward and has a three, a follow-up, right? This is like one of the more surprising things about Shakur is that sometimes he'll get on the line and he'll just go da-da-da-da-da, and he'll just throw a combination. This is something he learned from Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford will be moving around, and then while he's moving around, you'll get on the line with him, and he'll just go 2-3-2, right? And that is a thing that I think that might help Shakur a lot in the fight if he does it, but I just don't think he's going to use it. I think he'll use it too conservatively, because he has a good 2-3-2. He has a good 2-3. Why didn't he use it against De Los Santos? Because he can't punch with you, right? He doesn't know how to use it to disrupt your line. He has to be, like, really confident that you're not going to hit him, right? So Judah trying to use his rear hand right there. That's a pretty good 2-3, by the way. And like I said, 2-3 right there from Mayweather. And then Judah's like, boom, boom, right? Now, real quick, Judah's is very, very, very similar to Tank Davis, right? Very, very similar. Because we see him here, and he's bouncing, bounce, bounce, and he has to crouch first, right? You see him break into it so he can explode into the 2 and then rip the 3 off of it. Again, this combination will be incredibly valuable for whichever fighter throws it the most. If Teofimo Lopez just goes out there and he's just like, okay, fuck it, man, I'm just going to go 2-2-2-2-2, he's going to beat the shit out of Shakur. He'll beat the fucking shit out of him. Because Shakur doesn't have good defense. He just jumps off of the line with common sense, like anytime anybody gets on the line with him. I remember the first time I fought, the first time I sparred Orthodox. You know, my coach told me, because I was a southpaw, he had a bunch of guys that were like, he had like a pretty couple of pretty fit like amateur guys that were like, one guy was like a street guy, like whatever, wanted to learn boxing, talking all this good shit, little skinhead twerp. And I told him about a sparring session that I had with another one of Nick's fighters. My coach was Nick Bellafato. And I was like, yeah, man, he was talking all this good shit to him, and he didn't land a punch on me. I beat his ass. And he's like, oh, you went hard on him in sparring? I'm going to teach you a lesson. He's fucking telling me this shit, and it's like, he was trying to teach me a lesson, too. I didn't go hard on him. It's easy to beat him up. That's all. And then I beat the shit out of this kid so bad. I remember I hit him in the middle of the round, and I look over at my coach, and I'm like, boxing this guy's ears off. Easy. Like, I'm smoking him. He lands one punch. When I look over at my coach and I put my hands up like this, he's still throwing like I was in the middle of a combination. He whacks me, and then I just like snap, and I go, pop, pop, pop. I like whack him, and I'm like, oh shit, my bad. But I fuck him up, and the guy never comes back to the gym, and my coach tells me I have to fight Orthodox from now on. Anyway, I remember the first time I sparred Orthodox, and my coach told me I did a great job for 3 rounds, and I could land the jab pretty well. I didn't land very many rear hands, but I landed no counter punches. None. And I remember thinking like I had such a terrible performance. Every time the guy got on my line, I just immediately pendulumed off the line, like running. And I remember thinking like, man, dude, what the fuck? It was so hard to fight Orthodox. And, but I remember running a lot. Like, my coach was impressed that I could see the guy's weight coming and I could get off the line and the guy couldn't sneak up on me. Like, with common sense. But yeah, not a lot of counters. And I don't think Shakur is going to have a lot of counters, right? Now, this is what we came back for, right? He gets on the line, and again, he's here. He's getting coiled. He's coiled here, and then he sees Mayweather exploding. And notice him coil and lift his shoulder right there, and then try to blast across the line with his rear hand. Almost a beautiful shot, man. Oh, man. Really, really, really crazy. Great timing. Now, again, if you can predict what your opponent's going to do, right? Look at Mayweather kind of coiling up, bringing his shot, right? And about to throw the shot. And Judah's like, okay, I know what you're doing. I'm going to rip into this slip counter and throw this shot here, right? Now, Mayweather's getting lead foot dominance. His head's moving. He's getting to the outside of those, outside of the shot here a little bit. So it's not landing super clean, but crazy good timing. And again, if you can predict that your opponent's going to throw a jab at you, why not do a better move to counter it than just jumping off the line? You're going to throw punches anyway, right? Why are you going to jump off the line and throw a punch later when you predicted this correctly? Right? And again, when we take a look at like a fight like Shakur Stevenson versus De Los Santos, that was a low-level fight. That was an amateur fight. How many opportunities were there, right? When we look at how Mayweather is fighting Zab Judah on his double jab timing, right? Interacting with him, being a man with him, right? Countering him, fighting him. Real quick. Super effective move, getting to the front foot. 2-3, bat. Super effective move, right? Incredibly effective. Real quick, also an incredibly important point. I don't think Teo throws a lot of left hooks to the body. I don't think so, but this is really, really important. As the southpaw, you're at a distinct disadvantage. Boom, boom, the 2-3 right there. The liver's right there. It's so close. He didn't have to reach or stretch for this, right? Now, again, I don't think Teo throws that many left hooks to the body, but if he just does this, 2-3 like this, 2-3, and goes to the body like 2 or 3 times, and then who gives a fuck what Shakur does? And then boom, head. The fight's over. It's almost impossible to defend against it at this speed, right? Like we see Mayweather having so much success just blitzing onto the line with the 2. Look at how effective this very common move, 2-3, 2-3, 2 body, 2 head, right? The 50-50 is present there, even if it's on the next beat. Beautiful shot again. And again, 2, 3 to the head, right? Boom, boom. 2 punches, right? Boom. Again, another 2. 2, 3 to the body, right? Mayweather, again, actually there, trying to stifle the defense from Judah. Again, he's going to get really close. Throw the 2. Gets pulled that time. Actually, it doesn't get pulled that time. He gets him. Man, again, Judah so much better at getting away from the jab, but pull. And then as he's coming back with the shot, he has to bring his weight down, up, and then drive from his body. He can't even throw the punch, right? Because he immediately starts getting wrestled, right? And then Mayweather lets go of the wrestling and throws a punch. Oh, and then another punch as he's pivoting on the front foot to escape. Oh my God, another all-time great mistake. Buh, buh. Actually, he caught him in the middle of the air, and the pendulum step is even worse. Oh my goodness. Again, you can't just pendulum step for free. Front foot, pendulum, in the air, boop. And again, this is common offense, guys. This is common because look at how many times it's happened in the fight. Now, this, you guys, this was it for me. This changed my life. This right here, what Judah is doing, you guys, it was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Because he's getting dominated by Mayweather. And then all of a sudden, whatever he's doing, he starts opening up space, getting Mayweather out of position, right? Gets Mayweather against the ropes, right? He just landed an excellent shot right now. He went from getting his ass beat, right? He's losing the fight to all of a sudden he has Mayweather on the ropes. He's getting control of him. Feints him here. Or no. Here. Bop. Counter. Oh no. 1-2s him, right? Gets him to throw another punch at him. Boom. 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 Jab. Pull. Counter. But again, this right here, this changed my life watching this. Okay? Now, this little thing, I remember trying to figure out what the hell he was doing because I started seeing him do this shit and I was like, what is he doing? And all of a sudden, he starts getting a little bit of control of Mayweather, right? This is his active guard, right? Remember all the times that he's feinted and he crossed the line and he hasn't thrown any rear hands because he doesn't throw rear hand leads? Well, he doesn't use that feint and that control of space anymore because it doesn't go anywhere, right? So now he's trying to figure out something else, right? Nothing that he's doing is working. He has no way to get control of Mayweather. So he starts doing this shit right here. Now, I remember I went to the mall after this and I just was thinking about the fight the whole time and just walking around the mall and I just kept thinking about what he was doing and I remember trying to practice it and do it and I remember my friend would tease me. He's like, dude, you summoning Megazord? You summoning Megazord right now? Like I'm a fucking Power Ranger, right? But I couldn't figure out what he was doing. And again, when we think about what problem Judah's having, he can't cross the line right now. He's stuck on this side of the line. If he makes an attack here, it's going to be with the jab. It's going to be predictable. And he's not going to get away with it. And he's going to have to either throw, pull, and make an attack, or throw and peel. Right? We know that he doesn't have a very good 1-2. He doesn't throw it very often. But he's too scared to throw his jab on average. So he starts using his active guard. Beat. And it opens up enough space for him to throw a stepping jab at his opponent. And not get countered. How often has he been able to throw a jab at his opponent and not get countered? But he's opening up space by doing this goofy shit. And you have Jim Lampley and Larry Merchant talking right now at the end of the round. And I'm just going to play it because it's just amazing. You know, it was amazing to see and be like, oh my God, it even works against fast fighters. Right? But Jim Lampley and Larry Merchant are talking. They're like, oh yeah, what is Zab Judah doing anything here? No, I don't think he's doing anything. This is just for show. And you just don't even realize what a dramatic effect it is. He just landed a rear hand on Floyd Mayweather because of it. 30 seconds ago, he was losing. And now he's landing his hardest punch. He's connecting. Right? And all because he has more opportunities on the line. Right? He's like in a similar way where Mayweather just throws stuff and takes the 50-50. Zab Judah was using a little bit of that active guard to open up space, right? Similarly, with throwing a random rear hand and having a 50-50, right? Just you need control of the line anyway. You're gonna throw punches anyway. Why not just throw one? Now, I imagine that they told him in the corner, don't be doing any of that goofy shit. So he's settling down and trying to be more composed. Again, that very classic boxing trap where people stop using their active guard. They stop moving around. They stop crossing the line because it's dangerous. They want to do the least dangerous stuff, which is just control, sit in one position, wait for your opponent to get close to you, and then hit him with a rocket. Right? Real quick, though. That's so crazy. 2, 3. Hits him to the liver and hits him to the body, and then Judah's like, bruh, buh, buh. 2, 3. Look at how easy it was for both of them to land right there. They both did. A little bit of holding there from Judah and hitting. Illegal. But anyway, we're going to finish up the film study here in the 6th round. There's no real reason to watch the whole fight. It turns into like a weird melee. We've seen the most common strategies, right? What really helps and makes a difference in the open stance, right? I think Teo is a guy that has some decent lead hand control, but I don't think he fights guys with lead hand control. I could be mistaken. We are going to be watching him fight in his fights on Patreon. I think probably this week we'll be watching some. But I think Teo has more skills, has more breadth of moves to do than Shakur. Shakur might be more sharp and particular about what he wants to accomplish. But I think, man, I don't know. Gets on the line. 1, 1, 1, 2, and then has a follow-up. Boom. Didn't really get it, though. But I think Shakur is going to have a lot of trouble if Teo lets his hands go, if he's confident in his 50-50s, if he's like, okay, it's just boxing. I'm going to go out there and try to score some points to the body, score some points to the head, and see what opens up. If he straight headhunts, he'll probably lose in dramatic fashion. It'll probably be a little bit too difficult for him to get a hold of Stevenson, as Stevenson moves and pendulums away a lot. It'll be much easier to hit him to the body while he's running than it will be to the head. And then the body shots will open up the 50-50s to the head. But Shakur, I don't know. I think, again, the rear hands here having so much effectiveness for Mayweather, not having to open up on the right side of the line and into the counters of Judah, the ones that Judah's already good at. Yeah, we're going to have to see and watch the film studies. But yeah, I just thought this would be a fun way to kind of talk about Shakur Stevenson versus Teo, looking at some other athletic fighters, looking at how open stance fights develop for other fighters, and then we'll look at some skills when we take a look at what each fighter does well, which skills they're going to need to rely on, so we can figure out who needs to make more adjustments.